Hi, I'm Jake Marsh, and this is my audio blog entry on Nottingham tourism and its modernisation. I'll be discussing how Nottingham Caves, an historic site in Nottingham, needs to be modernised to attract a modern audience. I do this by interviewing someone who has recently been to the exhibit and asking him what was good, what was bad, and what would they improve. I'll be interviewing Harry Brockley. What do you think was good about the caves?
Yeah, so I'm really interested in sort of like history and historical places, and so going there was really interesting to sort of like see how the caves were used in a historical context. So the fact that it used to be a World War II bunker was really interesting, and like the leather tannery and things like that. My mum's really interested in history as well, so she took loads of pictures and was really interested.
Yeah, and what do you think was bad about the caves?
Well, I went with all my family, and sort of like me and my parents were quite interested in the historical things. But I've got a little brother, and he was actually rather bored. It didn't take him long to sort of like get quite disengaged with the whole thing, and there wasn't really much for him to do. There was a audio sort of thing that you can put on your ears, and it was okay, but obviously for someone sort of like who's 5, it's not really very interesting.
And what would you do to improve the caves?
Well, I think it'd be best if they could sort of like make it more interesting for families, for smaller kids, and have more activities and sort of like games to do. It's not very interactive. It's just sort of like one-sided. They tell you sort of like interesting things, but for people who actually want to interact and sort of like actually do something, there's nothing really there to do. So maybe a bit more technology as well. It seemed, obviously with the audio tour guide, it seemed quite old, and maybe with some screens up and maybe with some interesting sort of like footage or sort of like some films that they could make themselves, it might be a lot more interesting.
Cool, that's good, thank you. Yeah, so to conclude, I think there should be a lot more technology in the caves. For example, screens to show film on, or maybe some tablets with interactive games on for kids to learn the stories in a more interactive and fun way. I would also suggest maybe AR or QR codes on the walls so you can scan your phone and everyone can feel part of the exhibit in their own pace rather than having to go along with a slow, clunky old audio device. I also think it would be good if they had things, for example, like screens with projectors on it, so you can have a different kind of element to the story, and it would bring the caves a lot more to life and it wouldn't feel as old.